You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
It's time for the DragonCon Report, your go-to show for both newbies and seasoned pros gearing up for the annual Downtown Atlanta Convention, with interviews, expert advice, and all the latest updates straight from the dragon's mouth and fans themselves. Stay tuned, you might just uncover something unexpected.
Howdy, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the 2026 DragonCon Report. I'm Mike Gordon. March is almost over, but the madness continues. I'm joined by the rest of our slightly mad crew, Jen and Channing.
We're all mad here.
Yes, indeed. Say madness and I will appear.
What was it, Salvador? I did believe it was Salvador Dali who said, the only difference between me and a madman is I'm not mad. So, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Recovering.
I'm in DragonCon mode, man. I'm submitting panels. I'm trying to find people to be in panels. I'm trying to figure out what, if any, cosplay I'm gonna do this year. This is my little planning window. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. That's good to hear. And on that note, we're going to hear from some folks who are really in the thick of it, getting ready. And that is going to be in a little while. We'll be joined by Caro and Rob from the Brit Track. So that's going to be exciting. I think we've wanted them on for a little while, so that's going to be fun.
I have my tea and crumpets ready.
Oh, nice. I was wondering if we should have tea or warm beer at least, right?
Yeah.
We are a proud member of the ESO Network. On the ESOnetwork.com page, there's a direct link to our TeePublic store filled with all kinds of cool swag, including a very cool design for the DragonCon Report podcast. The ESO Network also has a Patreon page where supporters can access our exclusive reading of this month's DragonCon guest announcements. Thank you, patrons, for all your support. We really do appreciate it. In addition to the video stream on Facebook or YouTube, however you're watching this, the audio version of our show is still available via all the usual places, and you can always access all our past episodes at DragonConReport.com. However you access our show, please like, subscribe, share. We really do appreciate any support that you can give us. And you can leave us direct feedback or comment on any of our shows. Email us at feedback@DragonConReport.com. or reach out to us via Facebook and Instagram. And I think that's the only two we're at, right now. Social media still.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big ones.
Yeah. We're okay, good.
We're keeping it simple. We're streamlined.
So we've got some news. We've got quite a bit of news actually that we're gonna try to burn through this. Of course, DragonCon 2026 is happening September 3rd through September 7th. 5-day memberships are now $165. Yes, they went up just slightly. Still a good deal. Vendor and art show applications are now closed. The parade registration is full, but you can still get on the wait list at the DragonCon Facebook page. There's a link for that if you're still interested in participating in the parade. Performer applications will close March 31st, and that includes DJs. So you've got about a day as we're recording this live and streaming this to get your application in if you want to be a performer DJ of any capacity for DragonCon. So media applications are not open. Wow, because it said on the thing that
we did this last year too. No, it's okay. Just when you click the application, it just puts you on a loop back to that exact page with the dates.
Oh, gotcha.
And so somebody asked, and then it was replied that they should be open April 15th. So
okay, good to know.
So file your taxes and then submit your media application.
That's right, in that order.
Right. Yeah.
So attending and artist and guest applications will close May 31st. Fan table applications close June 30th. Volunteer applications are now open, and they are looking for all kinds of volunteers, as was mentioned many, many, many times at the recent volunteer meeting. By the way, the next volunteer meeting is July 18th. But speaking of the most recent volunteer meeting, there was a little bit of news that came out of that.
Yes, indeed. So Pat Henry announced that there is the new DragonCon University College Scholarship Program with a limited number of scholarships that will be awarded to volunteers with 5+ years of service and their children. Applications will close on May 1st. More info can be found on the official DragonCon website. I'll admit, I looked on the website. I could not find it. So when that goes up, I will get the link for it. Rachel Reeves also announced the new con co-chair, Mandy Collier. Other personnel and changes included Ben Collier being announced as the DragonCon store director and Matthew Smith as the new film track director. And the DragonCon office is no longer available by phone.
Yes, they should be available still through email and all the other social media official channels there. But yes, and like I said at the volunteer meeting, they just are announcing several people, several groups, all kinds of groups. Boy, if you want to have any clue as to what a massive undertaking it is that DragonCon is with all the volunteers, man, just watch one of those volunteer meetings and see all the different departments that are involved, all the personalities. I mean, it really is something that is amazing that it comes off as well as it does with all the moving parts. So can't thank all those people who volunteer enough.
Correct. All right. So speaking of DragonCon and their prepped, this year's artist guest of honor has been announced. It's Tony DiTerese. He's a New York Times bestselling author and illustrator known for co-creating the Spiderwick Chronicles. His sci-fi trilogy, Wanda, yeah, I know I was going to trip over that one, is streaming on Apple Plus. He's a Caldecott Honor recipient. He's also illustrated for Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering. I probably have some of his art in a box because I don't have time to play Magic the Gathering anymore, but I do love to collect the cards. They've also announced their literary guest of honor. Timothy Zahn first appeared at DragonCon in 1995. He's the author of 16 Star Wars novels, and that includes the early appearances of Thrawn, the Cobra, Quadrille, Sybil's War, and the Dragonback series. He's also done the Icarus Twin, the Icarus Job, and A Call to Insurrection with David Weber and Thomas Pope. ESO Network interviewed Zahn back in 2018, so it's probably time to reach out again and see what he's doing.
I don't know. He's a guest of honor now. Maybe I don't want to say he's too big for us, but.
And if you want to hear more guest announcements, go to the ESA Network on Patreon and
the what?
Before you go.
The ESA Network?
The ESO Network. I thought I said.
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, I like how we gave Channing all the words to pronounce.
Yeah, well, that's a preview of what you can expect at the patron.
Yes. Level. The ESA Network is the other network that
there you go. I haven't gotten to use this one in a while.
Yes. The ESO Network Patreon. Yes, because that's where we try to read all of these names and titles, and it's a rip-roaring good time.
So the announcements for DragonCon Awards are now open. The Dragon Awards, if you're not familiar, are for the fans, by the fans, and are your chance to reward those who have made real contributions to science fiction, whether it be by books, games, comics, TV shows. Every fan, writer, publisher, editor, everywhere is welcome and encouraged to nominate your favorite of the year. So go to the DragonCon Awards website, which is awards.dragoncon.org, and put in your picks for what you think should be qualified as a nomination for this year's Dragon Awards. The more people that do this and support this, the bigger that the awards are going to be, and maybe they'll have their own ceremony, and maybe they'll be looking for hosts. And I'm not saying that we couldn't host it, but
I thought they did have a ceremony.
They do.
Oh. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm just talking about something that's could air on, I don't know, a network.
Well, for everybody who is a member of the DragonCon Facebook group, you might have been noticing lately that they've been having a t-shirt battle. In the spirit of the March Madness tournament, DragonCon has been posting 2 of their favorite t-shirt designs at each time from the past 39 years, and you, the fans, are voting on each matchup. They'll be open for 24 hours of voting, and after a winner is selected, they're going to select a limited edition reprint of the fan favorite t-shirt to be in their merch store. So go to the official DragonCon Facebook page group to vote for your favorite. They
have
also
you been voting?
I voted on the first one. I know they put the second one up today, but I haven't.
They put this. I voted on the second one, and I think I voted incorrectly for the first one. But
you got to respond with an emoji. You click the emoji. You don't respond in the comments with the emoji.
Right.
I think the first click on the photo and use.
I clicked on the actual image and I put the emoji on the image as opposed to putting the emoji on the post. So it's a little.
Well, they'll probably still count it that way.
I hope so. I don't know. In any case, I think it's exciting that they're doing this because they're bringing back some designs and you get to see them all. And I don't know if there's, if there's a favorite shirt that you guys are looking for, now's the time. Here's a chance to get them because once they're gone, they're gone.
And also an exciting contest is about a week or so ago, they held a vodka label design for the 2026 edition with Atlanta Distillery. And the winner was announced last week as Elaine with design number 5. You can see her winning artwork on the Atlanta Distillery Facebook page.
Yeah, that's pretty cool looking. I do admit, I think that was a very cool thing that they did. And, I was kind of surprised that Fen didn't win, but apparently he
was late.
He was late.
Yeah.
But, it's good that he's giving others a chance.
And I was following that contest. Everybody that entered did some great work. The judges had a tough job.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Speaking of tough job.
I don't know why I got this particular announcement. I think this says what you all think about me. DragonCon Burlesque editions are open. Again, don't know why I got that one. I can only imagine. Do you have a nerdesque act you've been wanting to showcase? Have you always dreamed of bringing it to the big stage of DragonCon? The applications are now open. Each act will be paid $100 plus a badge to the convention. Submitted acts must be at least 4 minutes in length. Auditions close at 11 p.m. Eastern Time on April 7th. Notifications will be sent out on the 15th. And for more details, you can check out the DragonCon Burlesque newsletter. For $100 and a badge to the convention, I may need to come up with an act real quick.
I'm surprised you don't have one already.
The mongoose.
You know what? I'll talk to the mongoose. He's in much better shape than I am. I know burlesque is about body positivity, but I'm not. Yeah, I think he's got a better shot at giving people what they want to see than I do.
Well, it's very cool. Yeah, the auditions should be fun to see what comes out of there this year.
There's a reason the line for the burlesque show basically starts the day before. It's really creative. They put a lot of work and effort into it, and I like it for other than the obvious reasons. In case my wife is watching.
And this was news to me. I think this was announced actually a couple months ago, but apparently Delta Airlines has a special discount for folks going to DragonCon.
They have most years.
But DragonCon announced their discount code for the 2026 show is posted right there, NM4XQ. And so if you're traveling by Delta, which I believe all those planes go to Atlanta at some point.
Well, and also it's kind of, especially for those of us in the Texas area where we used to fly Southwest. Southwest has gotten rid of their direct flights. In addition to getting rid of the 2 free checked bags, and you now basically having to, like other airlines, you now pay for, if you want to choose where you sit, you're paying for it on the plane. So Delta is the better option now.
I was going to ask you if you had used this code.
No, I haven't. we're considering driving this year.
Oh, crazy. Okay.
Ooh, living on the edge.
Yeah. Well, my parents are going for their first time to con.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And they're driving. But they're doing like a whole 2-week road trip to like make their way slowly up there and stop at places they've always wanted to see. So, but we started thinking about it because my husband just got back from driving up to Atlanta to visit his family, and he was like, we could, get 2 of our friends who are going and all of us ride together, and then that's 4 of us who can drive, and we could do all our grocery and liquor shopping here. And it would be cheaper than flying and checking all of our bags. So
True.
Yeah. Well, the way rates are going, who knows?
Right.
Right.
It's still you do realize that flights go up because of gas prices too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Car gas is still going to be cheaper.
But hopefully this discount code can help you with that.
We have I'll throw it there. Rock saying they believe it varies a little bit, the discount, depending on where you live.
Gotcha.
Or where you're flying from. So
absolutely. And I'm not sure if it's applicable to places outside the United States. Like, for example, if you're traveling from Britain, but you know what? If you want to get British programming at DragonCon, then we've got you all set up. So we are going to be back and talk to the Brit Track. And we're back. And now for something completely different. We are going to talk to Caro and Rob from the Brit Track. Howdy, folks.
No one expects the Brit Track Inquisition.
well, we did have you scheduled. But I expected to see you in a hat, Rob.
You know what? I am doing Son's hat at the moment. In fact, I've gotten rid of pretty much all of the hair. So
I understand that process.
Yes, it's Son's out, buns out, but it's head buns.
In reverse.
Okay. In reverse, exactly. Yes.
Well, it's very excited to have you both here. And Caro, for you especially, I know this is DragonCon's 40th year, of course, what we're celebrating, but I believe it's your anniversary as well. Your 20th year? Is that as track director?
Yeah. So 20 years track director and longer. As a volunteer, I started as a wee lass in 1999. So been volunteering since then, and for some reason I keep coming back.
Ironically, even though this is DragonCon's 40th, Caro has been on staff for 47 years. We don't quite know how that works, but we have a figure it had something to do with a rubber band and a time machine.
Probably.
Wow. I saw that it was your 20th. I was like, my goodness, did she start when she was 7? So tell us about your experience first and foremost with being introduced to DragonCon. When was that? When was your first DragonCon experience?
So in 1999, I started attending with a LARP group. Actually, and I still LARP, and we started participating, and they said, hey, you should come out and try it out. So I came in actually 98, and I lived in England when I was little. It's like 12 years old. My dad was stationed there in the military, and I loved all things British, and I saw that there was a Red Dwarf panel. So I wandered down into the Brit Track and ended up spending most of my time there in like the third row, raising my hand a lot. And at the time, I was like a senior in high school. So not quite 18 yet, but the director at the time said, hey, when you turn 18, you should come back and participate. So and volunteer. So then I just started volunteering in the following year. So I know I hear there's an echo. I think it's me. I'm sorry. So I don't have headphones. I'm using my work laptop. So sorry to the people in the audience. But yeah, so I just kind of started volunteering in 99 unofficially. I was just kind of a helper. And then in 2000, I started officially being on the track. And many years later, I got a phone call from David. He's still around, but he's no longer a senior director. He retired. And David was just like, hey, you're really, really good at talking on panels and you really love this and you really want to make it into something. And so we really want you to take it on. And at the time, we weren't called the Brit Track. It was a common expression that we were locally within the community called, but we were actually the British Science Fiction and Fantasy Media Track.
Oh, that's a long one.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So, and before that, its first iteration when the show started 40 years ago, we were the Doctor Who track, and eventually it evolved to expand into the Britverse because of all of the media that was out there. And it's actually funny because we expanded into science fiction and then fantasy because of a show called The Tribe, which was very, very dated. But most of our program at the time was a little bit of Doctor Who and a little bit of weird stuff from everywhere, from the show from Australia to post-apocalyptic show from Australia to all these random other shows. And we started expanding our content. When I took over, the year before I took over, we were very Who's Line heavy. We actually had 30 hours of programming for Who's Line.
Wow.
To give you anyone who doesn't understand the programming slots, typical tracks will do around 32 to 40 programming slots of hour blocks. We're insane. We do 72 to 73 because we're crazy. And we just love it. And so for us,
and there's a lot to cover.
There's a lot to cover because we're like a mini con within the con, because we're covering an entire continent's content from, not just specific science fiction and fantasy platforms, but all pop culture. So that was my thing when I took over. I wanted us to expand into, I worked on the Tribe track flashback. Yeah. Tribe track class. We took on the Tribe anyway. So track at one point. But so that's really cool. I'm so glad you're here talking about it. But what's interesting is that when I took over, I wanted to rename it. They wouldn't let me rename it my first year because they said I needed to get my feet a little more wet. I was like, no. So I renamed it my second year. So it's been 19 years. It's been called the Brit Track. Because
we had to fight the entire time though, because they kept saying, no, you're Brit Media. You're Brit Media.
You're Brit Media.
And it was only about 10 years ago that they finally said, okay, finally you're Brit Track.
Yeah. Even on the website, we were British Media. Even my email is still britishmedia@dragoncon.org. It's not Brit Track. So we're still working on it 20 years later. But the long TLDR of it is I took over and I wanted to expand our content to more of what all of DragonCon does to lower the amount of Who's Line, which I did kibosh for 10 years and then brought it back. But we wanted to do more. So now we cover, the Brit Track covers, television of all genres, film of all genres. We even have music programming. We have literature programming. We even have weird stuff that's super fun that I'm sure we'll get into, like the Vogon Poetry Slam, which is one of our most popular panels, which if you know what a Vogon is really funny. But yeah, it's been a joy and a blessing. And I feel very blessed to be the director for it and having done it for as long as I have. And I think you have to pry it out of my cold, dead hands. You never know where life's going to take you, but I've been very, very blessed and appreciative to be a part of the community for sure.
Well, isn't that how track directors are ultimately selected, as hand-to-hand combat to the death?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a Highlander thing, you know. Like,
the term they're chanting is "dead man's shoes."
yes.
Ah, okay.
So, yes. I mean, so Caro has some very nice boots that she wears when she goes. I'm just saying, out of professional curiosity.
Thanks,
Well,
Rob.
let's get to you. How long have you been associated with? What was your first Dragon Con experience, and how did you get involved ultimately with the Brit Track?
Well, my first Dragon Con experience was all the way back in 1993, when it was just in one hotel room for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And but my first consistent, I've been going to Dragon Con consistently since 1996. The first time I went to the Brit Track was about that time, because a friend of mine used to be in charge of it, and I helped him with a couple of things. But I became a official member of staff in 2002, and as soon as Caro took over, I kind of became her official second, and we've been running it ever since. It was tough at first because we didn't have any guests. In fact, I think our first guest was Robert Llewellyn from Red Dwarf. Lovely chap. And then, of course, Caro's favorite was Gareth David Lloyd. She loved him.
We had him a few years later, but yeah, we had Robert Llewellyn from Red Dwarf, and then we had Warren Ellis, the comic book artist, who I'm a comic book nerd also at heart, so I was really excited to have him join us. And I think a couple of years before that, we'd had our very first Doctor at the show. And then immediately after that, you know, it kind of built from there, because when I took over, it was in its early wilderness year transition into the new show. So, you know, I kind of got the boon of that when we got involved in it. And to be very honest, incredibly honest, and very open about this, I am a Whovian now. I was not a Whovian then at all. So when Rob joined as a volunteer, he actually was just coming to panels, and he was sitting on our Who panels and running them because I knew him in the community, and he was just great, and he's funny, and we're not going to inflate his ego any further than that. But
I already have a big head, as you can see.
So that's why he wears the hat, is to keep the ego down, and because he's commonly known as Rob in the Hat. And that's a whole nother story. But basically, at the end of the day, he started taking on our Doctor Who programming and introducing me to a lot of stuff, because I was involved and interested in everything else and all the other stuff. But yeah, I mean, we've been partners in crime for a really long time, and we work really well together. So, you know, it works.
I used to be in charge of the late night programming as well, or I would put together programs that people might not have seen, like Primeval, the Detectorists, really early episodes.
Oh, I loved Primeval.
Yeah,
so much.
That's a good one.
And as the budget increased, how it got better.
Yes.
Yeah. Strange how that happens.
I liked it so much that after it ended, I would follow the actors from it to their future work, because I enjoyed them so much in the show.
Yeah.
So, but that's okay. It's okay. This is a give and take. It's all right. You're the host. I'm just the lowly peon who's here on for one episode. But no, I love doing it, but it was late night, early morning, and I barely got any sleep. So I became the official second. Caro said, I need you awake during the daytime, not passing out underneath the table during the prime time.
That's how I met him. I don't know if anyone knows this. I met him because we were doing a panel, and I was a volunteer. And all of a sudden, I hear this thud from under the table in the middle of the panel. And a hand comes out and scares me in the middle of the panel. And it's Rob crawling out from having done the late night programming before the panel. So he kind of literally crawled out from underneath the Brit Track table and just sat himself up and became a volunteer that year. And he's just,
Nice.
it's like a fungus. I can't get rid of him. He's just,
Well, that's because I am a fun guy, Caro.
right. This is true.
Aha.
Aha.
The entire podcast is going to be nothing but how many times Rob can insert a pun. So.
Well,
I would say, I mean, I think when you guys, early on, like, 20, 30 years ago when Dragon Con and when this track was first there, I would imagine that for most Americans, it was hard to get British programming. It's very limited. Now we are, I mean, it's all over the place. So I think maybe the challenge, I would expect that the challenge a long time ago, 20 years ago, was, wow, we need programming. What can we talk about? And what can we talk about that people see? Now it's a question of like, well, now we have all this stuff that we have to jam and narrow down, right? Is that fair?
Oh, absolutely. I would say the beauty of the Brit Track is that, us having the longest running science fiction television series in the history of planet Earth, as a show helps with Doctor Who, and all the media from that. And honestly, just the way that the BBC in general, disseminated its content even back then, it worked, and we got lucky because BBC America came into existence at the time and was being streamed, and you could record it on your TV. Not even saying Roku, that's not even what it's called back then, but you could record it on your TV, and you can buy a subscription to have the channel for BBC America. And we got a lot of content out of that. We got a lot of old shows airing, stuff from the 70s, stuff from the 80s. And we're lucky that Masterpiece Theater, picked up a lot of British content in general. And
not just Masterpiece Theater, but Mystery.
Yeah.
A&E picked up the Horatio Hornblower items. Yes.
A&E sponsored us as a track one year.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
17 years ago, and BBC did too. We had BBC,
of BBC America plastic bags.
They mailed us these plastic bags. They mailed us 15 boxes with like 400 in a box. It took us until 2 years ago to get rid of all these bags that we got. So
safe to say they got their money's worth.
In 3. Right. Yeah. They're like, hey, let's send bags. Like, they'll get rid of them quickly. No, we got it in 2003. With last year, 2 years ago, we finally gave away the last one. I think I have one out of nostalgia upstairs because we had it so long. But no, like, you're right. Getting content was tough, but I think that was in the early years of Dragon Con in general, 40 years ago. I mean, people were literally recording episodes of Doctor Who on tape and mailing it here and then transferring it to a region-free VHS and then sitting around in the library, and they were watching it, here in Atlanta, for example, with shout out to Atlanta Gallifreyans, which have been around that whole time. Which
shout out to Terminus TARDIS, the OG.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. You know who you are, folks. I was there.
Yeah,
they used to have someone who would record it in PAL. Send it overseas, and someone over here had a PAL VCR that we would play. I remember watching the Colin Baker episodes and the Sylvester McCoy episodes at least 2 years before they showed on PBS.
Yeah. Wow. So I mean, just like that community, we're very blessed with to have that community exist. And then when I took over, we had networks, like we had BBC America, we had A&E, we had all these different properties, and so we had content. And like Rob said, we went for a very long time without having a guest, a named person, tied to our track. And it was so bad that I actually spent my first 4-5 years emailing every agency of every actor in the off season to see if they would send us autographs.
Yes.
And we got autographs from like random places. So for example, like when Robin Hood, the old 2000s Robin Hood TV show came out, Little John, the guy who played Little John, we were the first people to ever request his autograph, and he was so excited that his agent said, "Can we call you?" Because he wants to talk to you.
Aw.
He calls, and he's like, I didn't even know some random person in America knew who I was. And I'm like, no, you're huge. Like, people love you. Which is true. We did. And so he was so nice. He sent us a stack of 50 autographs just to give out to people because, they're like the nicest people we've ever had. And so it was doing that and kind of making connections just in email form. And then the convention through guest services having such great relations as well. Really, mostly it's them, not me. My little email did barely anything. But then putting the word of mouth out there at other cons and having our friends like, hey, you're going to this convention, put her good name in it. But really, it's guest services that does a fantastic job at getting us guests. Eventually, we got some guests. We started getting bigger because originally our track room was only like, it sat 50 people. That was it.
The original one, the Baker, only sat 20 or 30?
It was 50. It was 50 in Baker. Baker is one of the smallest, tiniest rooms in the Hyatt at the bottom level in the basement of Doom. And eventually we got to move up some floors into Purgatory, and we had
Manila, Singapore.
Manila, Singapore, which
great big columns in the middle of the room.
So it had a column in the middle. It has a column in the middle of the room, and you can't see around it. And the room sits, I think, 120 or 110 people. Hypothetically, it's more like 80 with this pillar in the way. So we actually got paper and wrapped it to make it look like a TARDIS in the middle of the room. And it was really funny. And because I was like, what are we going to do with this? And I'm like, I know, we're just going to print out paper. Sheets of paper. Stick each 8.5 by 11 on the wall with tape to get it to fit and look like.
Wasn't that your roundels?
Yeah, and then I got giant roundels from
work. You got them from work.
Yeah, I printed them out at work. And actually, no, I didn't. Anthony Taylor did, who was a panelist for a long time, and he's in the community. And shout out to Anthony Taylor for printing us out these giant roundels that fell down every panel off the wall. Back in 2001, 2002, but eventually we evolved, and now we're in the Hilton now, and we're still in the basement, but we love being in the basement. We're right across from
your
our newest acquisition. We're right across from our newest acquisition, which is the Track. We did annex the Track 2 years ago, and they are now part of the Brit Track empire. Mm-hmm. And we just want to give you a little bit of a preview. We do have a couple of panels that we are doing that the Track is doing for the Brit Track. One of them is called Tea Earl Grey Hot: The Influence of British Beverages on Federation Culture. Mm-hmm. And a second one is Andorians. Are they really the Scottish of the Federation? Yeah. I mean, they're cross, they're blue, they have things growing out of their head. Go figure.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, so we kindly ask our fans to go over and check on our annex often and ask them about what it feels like to be our annex. So
please tell them that you're really glad that they've found a home with the Brit Track.
Yeah.
And that you look forward to lots of future shenanigans with the Track.
And so if anyone's like, what on earth is this inside joke? A lot of the tracks like to poke fun at one another, and we specifically like to go back and forth because they play with us. Is the Track, which is literally across the hall from us and on the Galleria level at the Hilton. And then we also like to work with digital media a little bit and poke at them because we share an air wall with them. So it becomes right. Waiting to see the Andorian chart.
It's just blue. It's just blue.
It's shades of blue. It's not. It's just blue. I don't care what anybody says.
Their eyes respond to different colors.
Right.
It's a sheet. That's what it is. It's just a sheet.
So, 2 years ago, we walked over there. We stuck our British flag in it and claimed it in the name of the Queen. And it's
name of the King.
Name of the King.
Charles.
That's right. Name of the King.
Right.
And ever since then, it's just been this fun little thing back and forth between us and them. And the details can be seen on YouTube if you on our YouTube channel for the Brit Track if you're ever curious and want to know the story behind it.
They have some pesky French group, the Maquis or something,
like that
have been protesting against us. I don't know. Who cares? Who cares about them? La-di-dee.
Now, are you worried about them trying to break away and starting their own colony again?
Really? Have you seen the Federation ever actually win a war? I mean, come on.
Wow.
They have Ferengi, we have Daleks. You go figure it.
I figured there was something to have to, I figured there was something in play when, BBC America was just showing Star Trek all the time. So I figured there was something going on there.
Exactly.
Yes. We're just acknowledging the truth of the matter.
Yeah. I mean,
I have a
long game.
I tell you what, I have had the distinct honor and pleasure to be on many a panel in the Brit Tracks, and it's always a good time. And I got to tell you, I don't know if it was the first time I was there that I got to grace your track room, but I do remember, and this is how big I didn't even realize how big Doctor Who was at that point, because even though we had been doing, Earth Station Who for a little bit, I think at that point, maybe within a year or so, I do remember going to your track room for our panel, the Earth Station Who, presents Doctor Who panel. And I can't remember what year it was, but it was one year. I think you guys were at the Sheridan, correct?
Yeah, we were at the Sheridan for,
years.
So my first 3 years that I was on staff, but I'm calling it staff. We're called volunteers now. I have to correct myself. We used to be called staff for the very, very long time, but we're now volunteers. When I was on the volunteers, we were in the Hyatt for 3 years. So that was 99, 2000, 2001, and then 2002, we ended up over at the Sheridan for a very long time. And then I think we've only been at the Hilton for maybe 7
years.
No, it's like 6 or 7 years that we've
something
been
like that. Yeah,
right.
I can remember going to the panel, and I was on my way to the panel, and there was a huge line for something, and I was like, "Wow, what is this line for?" And as I followed the line, I realized that the line was going exactly to where I was going, to the track room. And we didn't have a guest of Doctor Who on our panel. It was just a fan panel. It was a fan. I shouldn't say just. It was a fan panel where we were talking all about our love for the show, and it was packed. I could not believe how many people were in that room, packed to the gills. And that's when I knew that Doctor Who was a thing. And I can only imagine that helped you, as well as I think it helped usher in a whole wave of British programming that we're still getting the benefits of.
Well, and I have to say, Mike, it does help that we have people like Earth Station Who to garner the attraction that Doctor Who can get. But unless you have good panelists and good discussion topics, you're just like icing a cake made out of crap.
Right.
But, we have y'all to thank, because y'all really helped out with coming up with great topics and having great hosts. So we really appreciate y'all, Mike. We really do.
Well, on behalf of the rest of it at Earth Station Who we just celebrated our 400th episode, by the way. Yeah, I mean, it's been a great partnership. It's been a great partnership, and we don't intend on going anywhere. I look forward to participating more. But it's not just Doctor Who. I mean, I've got to be on panels with you guys with other British programs, because I do consider myself Anglophile. I've loved British programming, for my entire life. So you guys are definitely a place that I like to go to at DragonCon myself. So I thank you for all the work that you guys do to bring all that together. And yeah, a lot of friends are there. So
just to give people kind of an idea, because I know we've spent a lot of time talking about Doctor Who, but when we talk about pop culture stuff, just to kind of snippet at some of the things that we've done in the past. I mentioned with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, we had a ball one year for it. We always have been holding on to this horrible idea that I had like 12 years ago. We were trying to come up with some interactive programming that wasn't like improv or, any one of those things. So I randomly said to Rob, it'd be really funny if we did a Vogon Poetry Slam where people wrote terrible poetry and we didn't clap, we booed them instead and held up ridiculous signs like "How dare you" and "Ow, my spleen," and had fun with it. And the panelists pretended to be Vogon, but in human skin. So we did this whole joke about it, and it's been really successful since then. So besides that, we have a large comedy set of programming from the Monty Python experience, where you get to just go experience all the things from Monty Python.
Last year we had our fish battles, we had our spam eating contest. This year we're having a blancmange eating contest. In addition to fish battles, we're bringing back the silly walks into the Monty Python experience fold. So it's going to be bigger and better than ever.
Right. And so not just that, but we also, I love James Bond. It's one of my favorite. I'm always the moderator of the James Bond programming. Yes. So anything related to spycraft of any kind, we cover. We've done the Avengers. We've done, all sorts of different versions of it. We've got a great community that we've kind of tapped into with that. We also share some programming, but we also have our own independent programming with some period dramas as well, with alternate historical fiction track. We kind of trade off with them, but we also have our own that we do. We also do cross programming with urban fantasy as well, to cover some content with them that we kind of share, because we're in the realm of streaming media now, where there's a ton of content. So we're covering even streaming stuff. One of our panels is called Brit Media You Should Be Streaming. So it's just a panel that talks about the content you should be consuming if you're an Anglophile.
And it's not just television. We also talk about podcasters. We also talk about influencers, the podcasts themselves. Like I love Julian Simpson and his Lovecraft investigation series. The latest iteration of which is about to premiere this week, which is an investigation into Aleister Crowley.
Right.
And you cover a little bit of reality.
Oh yeah,
Taskmaster and Taskmaster panels.
Yeah, we have a live Taskmaster performance. We have our Taskmistress, who is Bewitched Raven cosplay, and she comes out and she does a great job and pulls people from the audience, and you get to do tasks for Taskmaster in an hour. But we also have stuff for kids too, because we love the kiddos. So like this year, for example, in the past couple of years, we've had like an hour block of just a play hour that's like themed with from British content. So we did Peppa Pig's birthday. We celebrated her birthday one year. But this year, we're looking at the 100 Acre Wood. Because we have, Winnie the Pooh anniversary. So celebrating that. But then on the flip side, we also cover a lot of music content. So this year we have we're having a panel celebrating Ozzy Osbourne and what he's done for the community, and talking about his music. So when we say we cover pop culture content, we cover the ridiculous to some serious content. But I want people to understand that when you come into the Brit Track room, you're going to see slightly different programming than what you're probably used to. And the reason why I say that is because every track does it a little bit different. Every convention does it a little bit different. For us, we love people. We love talking to people. So our panels, even if it's just a panel of people speaking, is never presentational. It's always conversational. So we might talk for a few minutes, but we love the audience and we want to know what the people in the audience have to think. So we call those our programming fan discussions. So we have one of our runners goes around and puts a microphone in people's faces so that the people in the audience can join in on the conversation, and they're not just sitting and listening, and we can participate in this great community building and exchange. So if it's kind of weird when you come in, we like being the weirdos. We love people that we want to grow our community, and we want to know what people think. And I think that if you're getting into Dragon Con, it can be incredibly overwhelming. And the wonderful thing about Dragon Con is that you can find a place where you feel at home. And we hope it's only in our track room. No, I'm kidding.
Come hang out at the Brit Track. We do clear our room in between each panel so that we can freshen it up.
Unless
Because
you're hiding
we have our exactly. So we can
We're the nicest
clear out the bums from underneath them.
We're the nicest smelling track room in all of the convention because we Febreze between every panel. I'm not kidding.
Every panel, yeah.
Febreze the whole room.
Is it a special British scent?
It's crumpets. It's crumpets.
Bergamot Febreze. Yes. And
It's the essence of David Tennant. That's what it smells
I
like.
personally rub a scone on the bottom of each chair between every panel.
We pump the smell of baked goods into the room. No, I'm kidding. So that's kind of just the snippet of what we will put out there. And honestly, one of the other things that I pride myself, it's very important to me that we do, besides having fan discussions, is that we always leave at least 1 to 2 seats for the community to join us. So starting around May, you'll see a post through our media platforms. We're on everything. Our Facebook group is our original home. It's where we started all of our social media, which is the Brit Track at Dragon Con. You can search for us for there. And then all the other wonderful long list of places that we're on. And what we do is we send out a Google form, and it doesn't cost anything. If you just are interested and you want to sit and be a member of some of our programming, we put out our sneak a peek little word cloud of the panels that we might possibly be covering and doing, because everything is tentative until it's over, right? On Dragon Con programming.
Schedule's not final until the Tuesday after con.
This is true.
Amen to that.
Because it's always ever changing. And but if you want to sit on something, if you're like, oh wow, you know what, I love Ozzy Osbourne. You're talking about Ozzy Osbourne on the panel this year, Brit Track. I want to sit on that. We would love to have you. So we have an application process. And surprisingly enough, we have 1 volunteer slot open currently. So, those 2 things alone, if you just want to be on a panel and talk about something that your heart is in the strongest part of your heart and share that with our Dragon Con community, and we happen to cover that content, we'd love you to be a fan panelist. And if you really, really love us and you want to become one of us, we can make it happen. Just got to email me. And we do it. We have an interview process for that. So, but yeah, that's my spiel. That's my pitch on joining us.
Love the spiel. I'm glad you got the spiel in. We can't let you go without talking about the Doctor Who ball, right? We can't let you go without talking about the big event that you guys, I would say, is that your biggest event of the weekend? Is that
it's
fair?
The largest in the number of attendees for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So how did that get started, and what is that all about? What makes that different from some of the other dances that are going on at Dragon Con?
So 40th, right? Right? It was
the 50th. We had it for the 50th, where we actually had doctors show up.
Yeah. So
nice.
Before that, we had the anniversary of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the novel, and that party was incredibly successful. And before that, we used to do the Heroes and Villains Ball with the video gaming track, and we did it for a very long time with them. And so we wanted to do something huge for the Doctor Who ball in the celebration of the 50th anniversary, because you can't not celebrate the 50th anniversary without a huge, big bang. It's the longest running science fiction show. So and that year we had oh my God, what's his name? Mikey from
we had Noel Clark.
Noel Clark.
We played Mickey. We also had Sylvester McCoy.
Russell McCoy.
And we had Peter Davison.
And we had Peter Davison, yep, that year. And
who was, played number 7 and number 5, respectively, of the Doctors.
And so they came and they got on stage at the ball actually that year. They were very excited to be there. And especially Sylvester, he's hilarious. And that was the year he was in his little like cart, you know, because his leg was broken. He scared us because his first panel he didn't want to sit on the stage. So he got in his little cart and drove it off the stage and went into the audience with a microphone and pulled it up to people and put the microphone in people's faces. And we had to rush out and the audience would be like, don't get up. Because we didn't want anybody to get run over, not because we didn't want them to interact with him. We were just like, please, like he's passed. And so but he would it was the first time we had a doctor like get into the audience and put the microphone in their face and really want to be involved. And we were like, oh wow, this is going to be an awesome problem. So
Nightshade said, you remember that year? Do you remember Peter Davison playing on the guitar and singing while Sylvester McCoy accompanying him on the spoons?
That was cool.
Oh wow,
that was an experience.
That was really cool.
Where else are you going to see 2 doctors performing live like that on stage?
And he had a little case for his spoons. It's so cute.
The little case for his spoons was incredible.
One of them. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. We'll send you some sponsorship funds in the mail.
$1. Okay.
They'll come in a BBC America bag.
But yeah, right. You can find it. It's probably somewhere in my basement. But so we started the Doctor Who ball, and what we noticed is that we have a video of it. Nice.
You need to share it.
You need to share it.
Put it on our Facebook.
Comments. So we ended up having such a great time, and we didn't expect to have as many people. I honestly was like, no one's gonna come, and 3,000 people came. And it's grown now to where I think last year we had around 8,000 people come through the ball. And even though we have been blessed with a brilliant DJ Black Sunshine is amazing. He's an incredibly humble, amazing man. And we had him for about 5 years as our DJ, really grow our party because we don't just play only, British music. We play the nerd community music, the music that everybody loves, blended with with other things. So we can go from playing Madness, right, in one breath to screaming out Flagpole Sitta in another breath, and then Dancing to Barbie Girl a couple of songs later. So I mean, like, or even Britney Spears or something more modern,
throwing the Doctor Who by the Time Lords.
Doctor Who by the Time Lords, or even
that's a must.
Or even last year we played Golden from K-pop Demon Hunter, and people were there in their costumes. We had them come on stage and dance to it. So he wasn't with us last year, and we had a dear friend of his come in and step in, but he is coming. I'm happy and so excited to announce that he will be back as our DJ for the 2026 show. It's a very big deal that he's returning. Which,
by the way, shout out to DJ Pterodactyl. We love you.
Yes, we love her.
Thank you for helping out last year.
She filled in last minute when he had some conflict and was able to really still bring the good vibes and not lose it. But we're so excited to have DJ Black Sunshine coming back to us to do the ball again. And it's always Sunday night of con. Doors open at 10 p.m. And we always have the best themed drinks at our bar. So we have a drink called the TARDIS that we've had on the menu specifically for the whole time we've done it, honestly. The past 12 years we've been doing the party. So if you need a home Sunday night to just be safe and also have fun, it's a really great opportunity. We do stop the clock at 11:30 to announce our Doctor Who ball contest, costume contest winners. We do prejudging earlier in the day. out of our track room for the contest, and then we announce our winners at 11:30 at night, and they get a really cool bag of prizes and a nice certificate for participating. So it's just fun. It's a fun party all together, because we don't really make sense. There's just a lot of different kinds of music just for everybody, and a lot of, you'd be surprised. You see Deadpool dancing with a doll. Like, it's pretty neat.
I'm glad you mentioned prizes, because I came from Gallifrey 1 this past last month, and I brought home a special treat for people who are participating in this year's Vogon Poetry Slam. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is, but it's something that you have not seen before here at DragonCon. So the winner shall get this unique prize. So come on in, participate, learn to write bad poetry, and show out.
Or join us for other weird programming. Like, we're going to talk about the reveal of Jack the Ripper. We're going to talk about...
That was last year.
Oh, that was last year. Sorry. You're right. I'm on the wrong tab.
You have to excuse Caro. She's tired.
I'm tired. This is a running joke as well. But we are really excited, because we are going to have a lot of other really cool stuff, for this specific year. We're going to talk about David Bowie, a retrospective 10 years after his death. We're going to talk about Ted Lasso, the return of it. I'm really excited about that, as well as Wuthering Heights, page to screen review. Torchwood, 20 years after the Rift. And my favorite idea for this next upcoming year is that we're going to do mini Highland games. So think
the cows?
Mini things.
Mini caber toss.
So instead of the caber toss, we're going to toss Lincoln logs. So kind of that vibe. So it's silly. We're planning to do something like that. We're going to review the Downton Abbey, finale. And then talk about some of the other fun stuff, like the 50th anniversary of the British, it's a British show, but the Muppet Show has its 50th anniversary, as well as we're going to review stuff like the Peaky Blinders movie. And so we're kind of all over the map, from science fiction, again, to pop culture, to all the great things. And we just hope that people will look forward to coming and sitting in our room and sharing in the love of something that they hold dear to their heart.
Speaking of Torchwood, I heard that Big Finish is ending their run of original Torchwood audios this year. Yes, that's quite sad. I wonder what they're going to do to replace it.
I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll pick up with some of the other stuff that's getting reboots. Everything's getting a reboot, from Lord of the Flies to Wuthering Heights. So Blake 7's getting a reboot. So this is a reboot era. So we're going to be talking about a lot of that. And finally, I got it. Hopefully we can keep it on the programming, but I really want to do some more football programming, and we're going to look at Welcome to Wexham as well on top of that. So again, we cover it all, sports to music to all the things. So be on the lookout for all of our programming notifications, as well as our community is pretty big. We have one of the largest Facebook groups for our track. We have about 4,500 members in our track group, and they all share all the things, because sometimes stuff's hard to find. So hopefully people will want to join.
For instance, Nightshade is going to show their video of Sylvester and Peter Davison playing a song.
That sounds like a threat.
Don't make me come through the screen.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for having us here, and it's been a joy. And you're always welcome in our room, and we can't thank you enough for letting us take some time out to kind of talk about the history and share our goofiness and our love of this aspect of the convention. That means is so important to us, but it's also, I know, part of the community. So thank you.
Thank you for joining
us. Thank you so much for being with us.
If I can, I also want to shout out to the Trek Track for being excellent sports in our little plays, and just generally being the wonderful, submissive second track that we've always wanted.
We appreciate their subservience.
I don't know. I see one of these days, like last year, I think we had couple
We had
or
Joe on.
representatives of the track on. So maybe we need to work on getting both of you on the show and sort of just work this out. Maybe sort of like some
it's okay.
agreement, some sort of treaty, something, right? So I don't know.
Well, we tried that with the French track, but they never.
Those cheese eating buggers, I tell you.
The French track,
absolutely.
By the way, there is not a French track. Just to be clear, it is a long.
There's not one yet. There's not
there
one yet.
There is a French track. They invaded one time. Don't listen to her. She's tired.
Once again, Jen, where can people find out more information about how to get in contact with these people and what's going on in the Brit Track all year round?
All right, let's pop it on the screen.
There we
and
go.
For our audio listeners, we'll have all the links in our show notes as well.
That is the www.facebook.com/group/Brit Track. Our Insta threads, DC Brit Track. YouTube, the Brit Track at DragonCon. Discord is Brit Track. X is @Brit Track. Blue Sky, BritTrack.bsky.social.
Done and done.
Get it all in one breath, folks.
So much for being on the show. We really appreciate it. We love having you guys, and we look forward to seeing you at the con. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to big shout out to our station crew, Jen and Channing. Thank you so much. Channing, where can people find you online?
I am online on most social media platforms at Channing Sherman. You can also find my group, the Black Geeks of DragonCon, on Facebook at Black Geeks of DragonCon. And like I always say, it is not a protest, it is a party. We're doing our annual photo shoot again this year on DragonCon Sunday. So if you want to see some cool people of color and amazing cosplays, come check us out.
Awesome. And Jen, thank you for working your magic on both sides of the webcam. Where can people find you?
I'm the creator and main admin of the Parties, Meetups, and More group for DragonCon on Facebook. You can also find me at most of the DragonCon report sites, and I'm on Instagram at LilBitOdd. Oh, and at 3 Grog Night. You can also find me at my newest podcast, if you're a fan of tiki culture, with Mr. Mike at 3 Grog Night. Because we also are fans of puns.
Yes, we are. We try to cover all we can with these episodes, but to keep up with the latest news, please check out the official DragonCon website, all their social media outlets, including Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. All the fan tracks are active on Facebook groups or most social media outlets as well. And we are a proud member of the ESO Network. On the ESOnetwork.com page, there's a direct link to our TeePublic store filled with all kinds of cool swag. We also have a patron page where supporters can access our exclusive reading of this month's DragonCon guest announcements. Don't miss it. Thank you, patrons, for all your support. Whether you're watching or listening to us, please help us support our show with a like, subscribe, and share. If you'd like to leave us direct feedback, it's feedback@dragonconreport.com. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Mike Gordon, and as always, it has been my pleasure. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you all at the con.
Bye.
Bye,
Thanks for
guys.
tuning in to another episode of the DragonCon Report. Whether you're a longtime fan or joined us for the first time, we hope you've gained some valuable insights and tips to make your DragonCon experience unforgettable. Don't forget to stay connected for more updates and future episodes. Until next time, keep learning, keep planning, and keep the con spirit alive.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping for the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.